Live from Carneys Point, New Jersey, we bring you Old Fogey Mobile.
New Jersey.
We're going to be Tokyo drifting through all these turns.
Really? That should be good.
Should be a wild ride.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The most important, get the.
I'll get it. Yep, I'm going to get it back.
Oh, really? Awesome. Why don't we sit right here?
All right, let's sit right here.
Got enough room?
We don't know.
I can squeeze in with the girls.
You know how to seat? You do? We can.
Came down from Philadelphia. It stopped in Chester, Pennsylvania, and it came down here to where those pylons are, and that was the wharf. And it was hundreds and hundreds of people that came from Pennsylvania to this. This was an amusement park with all the rides. I mean, just everything you can imagine if you've ever seen in a park. The carousel, the roller coaster, and there was a roller skate rink, and it was a huge park. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore. It's now just a park.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, in its time, it would be regarded as a Six Flags or that type of thing, that you would find in the country today, the big theme parks. But the view of people was that this one was that big and that exciting and that complex and so many different rides, and it was a very, very exciting thing back in those days.
What happened to it? Why isn't it here anymore?
Well, because the other guys put more money into the areas where there are greater populations. So you had them outside of Atlanta and outside of the other big cities in the country. The Disney Worlds came along and all of that. Just to give you a little timeline for you, the last of those Wilson Line cruise ships, they were steam-powered cruise ships that went up and down the river. The last one was in 1960. Wow. Just to give you a sense of what happened and part of what you're thinking about it. Okay. The economics of the whole thing changed. Is what really happened for the region.
Uncle Larry.
Yes.
Why don't you tell about the tickets?
Okay. At this wharf where you see all the pylons and stuff, at the end of the day, John and I and some of our buddies, since everybody had to buy tickets for the rides and the food, they would have a bunch of tickets with them. And so we stood at the wharf. When the whistle blew, those people had to get back on the ship to go back to Philadelphia. So we sat there and just said, tickets, anybody got tickets? Because they weren't coming back. So they would give us tickets. So we ate and rode everything as much as we wanted forever. He's telling me he had a stash of them that he hid under the roller coaster. Because the park police, they didn't like us, and they tried to take the tickets away from us.
Do I go out to the right for a different way to come in the park?
Down the Wilson line. And I thought that was a very interesting story because John's been doing the Ancestry.com thing and he's learned a lot about his family. And tell him about your grandfather.
Well, I will. I just
cool.
recently learned in the last month that my great-grandfather and his brother both were captains of the Wilson Line cruise ships back in the day. Give you a sense of time then, my great-grandfather died in 1928. Just to give you a sense about when that is, almost 100 years ago, you see. But it is important though for the full pictures to realize that there were probably 15 very, very large cruise ships. They were steam-powered, and they were made because in the 20s and the 30s, that was basically a major form of entertainment for all people. Cities didn't have air conditioning, but the river was cooler. Okay, and so people wanted to get on this boat as a way of getting out of their regular environment and have fun. And so they danced and they had live music on them. And some of those boats carried 2,000 people. So just to give you a sense of how that was, and they went all the time to a lot of points along the river. So, but anyway, that was That's how people had a lot of fun in those days. And then, of course, they would come here and get off for the day and come to this park that we're just going to look at the remnants of. Actually, there's nothing left except the ground, you see. But it used to be a very, very busy, fun place.
Yeah. Go through the park.
Right here.
I'm just making sure. Like the park. I might just reach to 10. We're okay.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
And one of the main events for the family was my dad worked at DuPont, and they had a DuPont picnic. So everybody that worked at DuPont, they would take over the entire park, and that was a big deal for us. The whole family would come.
And everybody would give Dad their tickets if they didn't want to ride the rides.
Who wouldn't want?
Redistribute them.
Who wouldn't want to ride the rides?
Yeah, some of the older people that were working at DuPont, and they got tickets, books of tickets. You know, everybody got books. And Dad would get his share, and then people would give him theirs.
So this whole thing was rides, roller coasters, and little go around airplanes and things.
But they had a thing.
Fred rode the carousel, and so he called himself a carousel jockey.
Who, Dad?
Yeah. Fred was. Fred started out working with the carousel, and actually when they would come up here from time to time, there was a lot of us, but I was the baby, and to get rid of me, they just put me on the carousel, and I rode it all night long. Just because I loved it, you know. It was like I knew the horses by name, you know.
They do you too.
So one night they all piled in the car and went back home to Carney's Point where we're going, and they forgot me. And I was still on the carousel, and and my mother counted heads when they got to the house. She said, "Holy crap, we left Larry at the park. You gotta go back and get him."
So if you ever see Larry going like this, okay?
I've been going around in
you remember
circles
he
ever
still has
since.
that habit from the damn carousel.
Uncle Larry, we need a head count for the restaurant.
Oh, okay. Okay, who is not gonna stay after this?
Family anymore?
What's that?
Can you please,
Speak up.
can you tell the story about why the farm is no longer
Oh,
in the family?
yeah, because some people came down from New York, and she had 3 farms at the time. Union Farm was the one right at the foot of where the bridge is now. And Union Farm was a huge farm, and they wanted that. And she didn't know what was going on, but they wanted that to build the bridge. And so they gave her what she thought was a pretty good price.
Nobody can hear you.
What we should do is put
Then she was so angry about that.
I'll repeat
They
it.
built the bridge. She'd never ride across the bridge for many, many years.
How much did they give her for the
They-
farm?
I don't know.
He was saying that Union Farm, when you came over on the right-hand side, was where grandmother lived. My dad grew up.
1 o'clock, Larry, for reservations.
1:30.
1:30.
Yeah. What time is it now?
11:40. 11:40.
So I know you said that table was much.
The other part will be right by. It'll be about another hour, 10 minutes. So 11:40, 12:50.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a couple of tables.
You could probably say 1.
Oh, 1 o'clock, actually.
1, yeah. Give or take. 1:15. How's that? Anyway, on that Union Farm, some people came down from New York and offered my grandmother. This is what Jim was saying. Offered my grandmother what she thought was a really good price for the farm. She didn't know the intention was it was very valuable, and they were going to build a bridge there. And so she wouldn't go across the bridge for years. She was so mad at it. She felt cheated.
They made millions, right?
Yeah, oh
But she kept the one down in Odessa, Delaware.
yeah. So then the other farm in Odessa is the one that she went to.
Brook Farm. That was Stony Brook Farm.
Stony Brook.
Yeah.
And that's the one that Fred wanted to buy.
Yeah.
Why did he want to buy it?
He loved it. He just loved it. It was sentimentally precious to
It
him.
was a 14-room house. The first 3 rooms, a kitchen and 2 rooms above it, 2 little bedrooms, were built in 1732. And then it just grew from there to 14 rooms.
The house that in the other farm was built in 1732.
1732.
Wow.
Jim, who built that house?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't remember. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jim.
You weren't there, Jim? It's only 1732. Why weren't
I
you?
heard that Odessa was a big, actually, port for goods to be brought in to Delaware and to Middletown.
It was close to there that they had a bunch of big channels.
Right.
My house up there was
So,
I think
very, very unimportant, but it was very important to us. This little custard stand is the Dairy King.
Yeah.
And
Peach
we
ice
would
cream,
come
peach
up
ice
here
cream,
like
peach ice
there
cream.
would be lines wrapped
Get it
around the
right.
building.
Did you get that out?
That was our favorite little place.
So this is
this is Atlantic Electric, Atlantic Electric Company, a big generating plant. For years, supplied the electricity for the whole region. It's an old coal-fired plant. It's been taken down. But the reason for the whole town that you just have been driven through about a third of, it was created basically as the result of DuPont and DuPont's enterprises, because it was a huge magnet for people who wanted a better paying job back in the late teens and the early 20s. And they came from all over. That's how my grandfather got here and other people. So this whole community is kind of the result of that major DuPont facility. It was the largest manufacturer, a chemical manufacturing company in the world for many years. There were like over 10,000 people employed there. So it was really a big deal.
I'm going to tell you something else about
Well, yeah, it was DuPont. They had Chambers Works primarily.
Right.
Yeah, and then they produced all of those original chemicals that we've all become accustomed to.
paints and dyes. And
Sure, I remember the best example, and maybe some of you people are too young, but you remember the Bic pen, the original Bic pen. All of the those dyes were made here. And then Teflon and all of that stuff. They did very important. They had a very major scientific piece of the Manhattan Project, which created the first nuclear bomb. Okay, they did it here, and in fact, your sister, Larry.
Yes.
Okay, they started to hire women right during the war because they were run out of men.
Jackson Laboratory, she worked.
Yeah, and she worked there. My mother worked there.
What sister?
Your sister Patty, right?
Yes,
Patty. Yeah, Patty worked there. And well, anyway, they did the research. They did a lot of the research for that bomb.
And Dad was signed to it, and Ed Trepper was assigned to parts of the atomic bomb project.
Yeah.
I was a chemical engineer.
And it's funny because they used to, I think it's an interesting human interest story. They used to take the spent fuel, the spent contaminated product from their experimentation. They would take it at night in a train up about 10 miles from here to the north, and they would put it in, bunkers, basically. And they used to bring it through the night in a train, and when they did, everybody else was required in the whole region to turn their lights out. That was part of the disguise, part of the safety and the disguise of,
So people wouldn't know.
know what was going on.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And because, in those days, you guys may have read of it, but, people were paranoid and they were afraid that German planes were going to fly in and bomb this area. Okay, and so they had spotters. People. I knew a spotter. He's been dead for a long. Who?
My dad was one.
Well, he was one. Okay, I didn't know that. But there you go. They were spotters. They would stay out
looking for airplanes.
Looking for airplanes and so forth. Well, big part of that paranoia then is what created the rule that everybody had to turn their lights out at night when the train with that material was moved, from one spot to another. That's what happened there.
So was that radioactive?
Yeah.
So is it still radioactive?
Well, the official answer is no.
I see.
The government answer is no.
But then again, I used to have a great head of hair. Okay.
Of course, that's correct.
Carney's Point actually had a country club.
It did.
Yes.
Yes.
Say that nobody can hear.
Carney's Point got its name from actual Carney's Point. It was a point in the river where they built a DuPont plant to manufacture gunpowder, and the Russians wanted to buy it before World War I, and so they built Carney's Point, and they finished building it in 1917, and that's where the family grew up.
So,
and that's where we are.
If you didn't hear, Carney's Point was a point in the river, and DuPont built a plant to build smokeless powder. The Russians wanted smokeless powder, so they did a trade-off, and our whole community of Carney's Point was built by Russian carpenters, and that was a trade-off to get the smokeless powder for World War I. And the reason you want smokeless powder is when you shoot somebody, you see the smoke, and you know where to fire back. Well, the smokeless powder eliminated that issue.
Didn't Atlas Powder have a big competition with DuPont at that time?
Could.
Which one was it?
Okay. Oh, were you here?
No, you gotta go.
I was just letting some cars go by because I was moving.
Yeah, sure.
So this is
Just where that little green sign is on the left.
Yeah, this
You
is
wanna go
Carney's
to the
Point.
right. Yeah.
This is our little homestead. And this corner right here is where Jim stood naked waiting for Dad to get off the bus from work.
Well, and you guys got to know.
278 was our house.
Yeah,
We're good. We're good.
yeah.
So that is the house of nine kids. Yay! And see the brick steps? I built them.
That's right.
278. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Yeah, got an open door. And this place right here was Dr. Gilpatrick's office.
Yeah, for a little
and
bit.
my mother
Because
worked
a few little, I think.
You want to go ahead?
Well, Larry. I have an affection for mud. One of my good buddies. That was,
Okay, this is the house here, Larry?
And they've done a nice job. Now, that's Bernie. That was Bernie's bar. That's where Dad and that's where Dad would go every night.
This is the famous.
But go across the street. This was a major highway. That's
That's rigged.
Jim, why do you think the address has changed?
278.
Yeah.
That was changed when Mother was still living here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they wanted to start from that end of Carney's Point and move this way.
Yeah.
From the west end. I don't know why they did that. The 17 Shell Road was all we knew was 17 Shell Road, and we always call it 17 Shell Road. Carney's Point, New Jersey.
Since the beginning of time.
Since the beginning of time, right. Since 1917. You want to get on that side so we can take a picture of everybody over here?
Sure, I've got pictures.
Come on over.
You're not gonna be in the picture? Dad, Jim. Jim. Come join the picture.
Hey, generational. We owned this house for 50 years.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But now you just make little kids inside cry.
Are they crying? I didn't know there were any little kids in there. Alright. Okay.
Back on the bus.
We got an alley behind here.
Yeah, we're gonna drive over there.
We're gonna drive over there? Can we get down the alley?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna be driving down the Imagine all the people I wanted to share in the roast beef or the turkey that my dad would cook.
Yeah, I do.
Or the apple pie.
Yeah.
Ah,
Or the succotash.
or the succotash.
When we leave here, we're going to turn left.
Anybody know
on
what
that street.
succotash is? How many people know what succotash
Yeah,
is?
go to the other side of that bar.
Oh, yeah.
And then turn into the alley. and go
Succotash
slow.
is
Okay.
corn
Okay.
and lima beans, small lima beans,
Dad, do you want me to sit up
and
front?
some kind of a
No, I'm good.
stuff to hold it together. Really good.
Really.
Really good. My dad used to make it.
Okay.
Anytime you're ready.
Yeah,
We're good.
ready.
We're going down the alley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I remember going down the alley and there was the guy with the horse and buggy, the horse and wagon,
Yeah.
who sold the rags and sharpened knives.
Yeah, and
What
Larry
was
was
his
just saying, now this is really interesting.
To
When we
us.
were growing up, there's an alley right behind all these buildings, and the horse and buggy would come by, and I remember the old man, bearded old man that was driving the wagon, he would say, "Rags, any old rags?" And then so we'd give him the rags, and then he'd sell them, somewhere. But he also would sharpen knives, as Larry was saying. And so there were a lot of vendors like that driving a horse and buggy down the street. By the way, the Iceman would come and you'd hang a thing in your window that says 10 pounds, 20 pounds, or whatever you want for the outside ice box. It was sticking out the kitchen window.
So we're
You
going to
put the
go.
ice in there to keep the
Jim,
milk
hang on.
cold.
It's gonna be bumpy. Hang on, Jim.
I'm hanging. I'm in good shape.
The alley isn't.
And this
John, can you-
we're just going by the back of the house.
Didn't we walk to a store from here?
And this was a long
Yeah,
way.
probably. Well, Johnny had a store right there, the delicatessen. was
I had a
John-
store in the
John
corner
Brandt's.
there for years. Yeah, that's what I used to do.
Yeah.
All the sins,
Wow.
things with
Okay.
things with sugar, tobacco, and caffeine.
Is this the back of the house, Jim?
We're almost.
Not quite yet.
I was like,
Wow, that's a nice
I
job.
think it's the next one.
Yes, it is.
right here.
All right.
It's right here.
this one.
Right here.
They're so much bigger.
So we freaked them out in the front. We'll freak them out in the back, but we're not going to get out of here.
When you're a little kid, this is a huge backyard.
It was monstrously
and,
big.
and Uncle
I don't
Larry,
believe
Uncle
this.
Larry built.
And even today, I don't believe it's that small.
I'm saying to you.
It's crazy.
Uncle Larry built a fireplace out of bricks right there where that little green thing is. I don't know why they took it out. But anyhow, my father would be in the bathroom with that little window there in the middle, and he'd be looking out the window. And my brother Tommy would be racing up and down the road in some kind of a cart that he built with a washing machine motor. And the police would come and they'd tell Dad, "Gene, is that your boy driving around the street?" "Who?" "Jim? No, it's the little one." "Oh, you mean Tommy?" No. And here comes Tommy down the road, down the alley, in that cart. He's about 9 years old.
I just noticed the difference why the yard was bigger. Well, number one, that back area wasn't there.
Yeah, that back porch
good,
was
thanks.
not on it.
Appreciate it.
But anyhow, they built a fence around it because I was always getting out of the yard and going down to the firehouse. I was about 5 or 6 years old. And the firehouse is about 7 or 8 blocks down the road. And it was a long, long way. I mean to tell you. And so I'd sit on the fire engine and they would drive it back and
John,
say,
what do you
"Mrs.
think, Matt?
Crumlish, here's your little boy, Sonny Jim."
You just go up to the school, up, straight up.
Okay,
and then
the Rehab.
Yeah.
and just kind of go around that because it shows
So they
the
built a
track.
fence
Yeah.
around and
Turn
I
right
dug out
when
under
you
the
get to
fence
end
so I
here.
could
We'll
go
go
to the
by
fire
your
fire engine.
They just
We're
couldn't
going to take a
contain
quick
you,
peek, Jim.
They just couldn't keep you in.
We're going to take a quick peek at the community store.
Okay, community store coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to roll down the hill in the community store hill, and it's a big hill. And we would
Not as
roll
big as
down
it
in
used to
an
be.
old tire, climb inside the tire. I think there were
Tractor trailer?
19-inch tires, for cars, 19-inch diameter cars, tires, and we would roll down the hill in that, never thinking that we might get hit by a car coming along.
Interestingly, when my mother and dad moved over here, that was not the first house. We're going to go right on this street.
Right here. No, on the right. Yep.
oh,
Yes.
I remember that
The
store.
first
Yeah,
house
there's a big hill
is-
here we
is
used to
the-
roller skate on.
The second house on
that
the right
big hill?
is the first house they lived in.
Who lived in?
My mom and dad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a second house. Then they moved back to Wilmington. I think it was that house.
It was this house right here.
Yeah, which became the
With the little
morning.
white shack right there?
Yeah.
Where this pretty I didn't know you had.
That was long before me.
Yeah. I think everybody, when you hear what Jim's saying about the ragman and all of that, you're talking about the 30s. We're talking about the Great Depression.
Right.
Great Depression. 30s, 1930s.
I have a question about the Iceman. How would you pay him? You,
Yeah.
Pay him right
you
there.
leave the money
building on
out
the
there
left.
so you can pick it up?
Yeah.
You weren't worried that somebody would come and swipe it?
No.
Okay.
So just
hold
go
on.
They used to
in
leave
that- up that
milk
little
on the
hill.
front porch.
Oh, yeah.
And of
Bread,
course,
man.
Yeah, when that truck
and of
is.
course the milk bottles in the wintertime, the cream would push
Awesome.
the top off. And
There's a couple of good stories here.
Ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's the big. We're going up the big hill that Jim was talking about.
This is a big hill for the community store. And this is where we would roll down the hill.
Pardon?
In the tires.
Your store.
It's right that we just went by it. Yeah.
Where the flower shop is?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we'll go. I think we need to go back. When we go by it, coming back, the community store. So
Everybody
the Russians built the buildings. DuPont rented the houses. So, in other words, you didn't own your house. You paid rent to DuPont, and we had what they call the quartermasters. So if the door broke, you call the quartermasters. They come over and fix your door. If there was plumbing problems or whatever, the quartermasters would take care of it. Well, this was the community store, which meant that you go in there, and it was run by DuPont, or created by DuPont, and Mother would send us over to the store to get things, and they would put it on a tab. And if Dad didn't pay the bill, then in about a week, his boss would come to him and say, "Gene, you didn't pay the community store bill. You need, you need to ante up."
That happened a few times.
Well, yeah, and but the great story I think there is that everybody talks about Amazon.com and being able to order all of your stuff and get it, your food and this. Well, we beat Amazon.com by a country mile back in my day as a kid, because we would call and we would place our order just as fast as you can do it online. Okay, just as fast. In fact, even faster, because the guy taking the order has filled your order many, many times before. Does that remind you of what Google's doing today?
Yes.
Okay. You see what I mean? So he would, I know you want 2 pounds, and he would write it down, and within an hour it would be delivered to your door, which beats the hell out of anything Amazon can do today. Absolutely, and you'd get exactly what you wanted, and usually a couple of cookies on top as a gift.
Nice.
And I
So
actually,
that's all the progress that's been made.
one of the many jobs that I had at one time was helping the delivery guy named Shorty,
Shorty.
little Shorty,
Yeah, can you
and I would
imagine?
carry the boxes to the doors.
Which Shorty are you talking about? Oh, the other guy, okay.
He was actually shorter than me.
I told me you and a buddy could set off some fireworks and almost burn this place down one time.
That could be.
That could be.
I would put it past him.
That's good, though. That was my foil, because I tried, okay? And
Uncle Larry, tell him about the water bill that you never got because he designed the water tap. What was that story?
I was lying. What was it?
No, Granddaddy designed either a water tower or something for Carney's Point. So the whole time they were there, they never got a water bill.
I don't know anything about that.
Wow.
No.
well, you got to remember
tell
that
me.
water bill might have been $1.
Yeah. So who told you that?
Mother.
Well, I didn't hear that. That's
I-
good. Do you know this real story?
You know, I can't have her vouch for me. I'm sorry.
Okay. I take it as the truth.
I have to tell you
That's
something
a god
that's
awful
really
truth.
interesting. During the Depression, nobody had jobs. A lot of people were out of work, and they all went west. But my dad never did get laid off because he had 9 children, and DuPont wouldn't do that to him.
Wow.
So, and he knew some of the older DuPonts who were running the factory. So anyhow, he didn't get a lot of money, but Shirley McGraw across the street at the bar got some of it. And
The
so
racetrack
when it
got the
came
rest.
time
Where
to
was a racetrack?
put a
around?
quarter
Delaware.
in the
Oh, okay, right.
They would have
in the
done
gas meter, because we had gas stove, he didn't have a quarter, and so he would go up to the factory, up to the plant, and get some slugs, exactly the size of the quarter. And by the end of the month, there'd be a whole box full of slugs, and then he had to
pickles.
pay the bill. But we also had a pay telephone, because they took the other telephone out when they didn't have money to pay the bill. And so the payphone had nickels and dimes and quarters in it. And so he would make slugs for each one of those sizes of a coin. So we could always make an emergency call back to DuPont if he had to do that.
There was a payphone in your house?
Payphone in the house.
Where was
Yeah.
the green school?
But the only reason they put it
On
in
Shell
there was
Road, wasn't it?
because they needed to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
able to
Oh,
talk
yeah,
to
yeah,
us
It's right over there.
for
Just
what
right
he
over
was
there.
doing with DuPont.
In fact, we'll have to go by there.
Okay.
You know, get around.
So he was a machinist?
Let him know where.
No, he started out with a jackhammer,
From here.
Yeah, we just
ran
turn
the
right.
jitney
Okay.
train around,
You know why? Because
carrying
at the end of
instruments
it,
back
it's
and
very
forth
short.
to the shop and
Then
where
you
they
go,
were
then you go
using
to the
them.
right again.
And then he became
where's your
the
house?
expert on
right
instruments,
there in the corner.
instrumentation. And so then
This one right here?
he
Yeah, that's
became
where my mother
just
and-
before World War II, he
Yes.
became the first
She's been
instrumentation
gone for
development
a while.
engineer for DuPont, for
Just go
nylon.
there.
Nylon.
Did you
I
grow
think
up there?
people use that.
No.
You grew up
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh.
And he
No.
traveled all over the country setting up
F Street,
pilot
back
plants
further in
and
the
Okay.
village. Yeah. Turn here. Yeah.
Baton Rouge, Kentucky, Tennessee.
You know, the other thing
a
to
lot of
remember.
places where
Well, I
DuPont
don't
wanted
want
to build this
Is that
nylon
the green
plant.
school?
So he really
They
worked
own an
himself
empty
up.
lot?
Huh?
He really worked himself
Okay.
up then.
Yeah,
Jim?
yeah. Without an
The
education.
green school.
Oh, the green school. Yeah.
That empty lot that looks like a parking lot is the green school, and that was the first school you went to in the series of schools. And
Oh, yeah,
believe it or
it's-
not,
it's a
it was
parking lot
DuPont
now.
supplied green paint.
They had 8 rooms in this green school and an
And
office.
then turn right again.
And so it's from first to
John,
8th
go
grade.
left.
Left.
And the kids would go to the green school and we could walk. You know, we always walked.
In where the parking lot is now?
Yeah,
Yeah, where the parking lot is right
Nice
now.
Park on the way back.
And so the Presbyterian Church was where I went to kindergarten.
YMCA and Rihanna.
Yeah.
Anyhow, green school, I went to first, second, and third grade, and I remember the names of the teachers. Miss Bailey, Miss Stecker, and Miss Adams.
Wow.
And then we went over here to Pershing School, and Pershing School was 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. And then we went to Lafayette School, which was middle school, 7th, 8th, and 6th, 7th, and 8th grades.
This is Dunn's Park. We'll come back and take another look at it.
Yeah,
Good
Dunn's
story
Park.
about it.
I wanted to mention one thing about the Russian story. All those little houses that you just passed, and there was a lot of them, that basically was the town, you know, back in the day.
The village.
The village, they called it. Anyway, the lumber in that house right now grew in forests in Russia. Most of the heavy lumber
Back
that
of it, I don't
grew in a forest in Russia over 100 years ago.
Wow.
It was brought here part of it. No, not in those days. They wanted gunpowder.
What kind of wood is it? Pine?
Just I don't know, but I think it's oak. It's real. I mean, I've heard so many repairmen and carpenters and people like that say to it that that's never going to go anywhere. Everything else will go, and the wood will be there. You know, very solid stuff that they brought by ship right here, obviously. You know, and they made these houses. And I grew up in one.
This is Rehigh, where we went to high school. I didn't, but everybody
Pennsylvania
else.
Regional High School. Can you imagine that?
And if you're related to Fred, that's the racetrack, the track back there where he was a runner.
Wow.
And that's where all the football games were and all that. And that's amazingly small today.
Yeah.
It shrunk.
That's what happened.
I graduated from this high school in 1944 and went directly into the Navy. And
How old were you?
I was 17.
Wow.
Yep. My
And
dad
it was during World War II,
36.
so I had my time in World War II
Yeah.
in the Navy, flying in airplanes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the back of the school. You'll see lots of photographs of us on the steps, and we're gonna go out and go right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just do a little.
You want me to go? Is there a way
Out
for me
onto
to
the
check the
road.
front of
Yeah,
the
out
school
onto
this
this
way?
road.
Oh, yeah, you can. Yeah, it looks like you can.
Really?
Oh, good.
Dad,
Glad somebody's paying attention.
Yeah.
Dad, will we go by the church y'all went to?
We can? St. James?
Isn't that at the beginning of?
We can go to St. Yeah, sure. No, that.
But not the old St. James. Is it still there?
Yeah.
Oh. okay.
It's not in use, but it's still there,
Oh.
and it will give you a sense of exactly what it was
How
like
small it
when
was.
we were. Oh my God, so small. Yeah.
I don't know why, but many, many, many times we line up the family on the steps
You can pause here
Of-
because there's a
of,
couple of stories.
of the front of the school. Now, okay, you remember the story about me taking trombone lessons when I was in 8th grade? and I came over to the high school, and the very first week that I had that rented trombone, I fell down those steps, and the trombone was about the size of a trumpet by the time I got to the bottom.
So then what did you do with it, Dad?
You know what's amazing? I mean, holy shit. I cannot believe how small those steps are. I mean, that was a monster
Just
step.
taken out of it. Maybe that's it.
You want a picture up there?
Huh?
You want to get a picture up on those steps?
Why don't you stand up?
You want me to fall down?
Yeah.
We'll catch you.
Did you, Dad? What did you do with your trombone after? Did you do something with it? Or-
Well, we gave it back to him, but Mom still had to make the payments on
There
the
was
rental.
something with maybe your books that you
I don't know what I
threw
did.
in the river.
Oh, that was, back in Deepwater. I threw the books in the river at the end of high school. Yeah.
Did you want to take some pictures or?
Jim, why don't you and I get on the steps and let him
That
take
would
a
be
picture?
cute.
All right.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Because, I mean, we've got so many pictures of the family on the steps.
I'll take one with mine.
But I cannot believe
Well, that is a small stairway.
These steps were like 5 times higher.
At least.
Yeah.
They shrink. Class of 154. I think I was in the lower 10%.
Be sure to get the steps in. The steps are important.
What steps?
What steps?
That's
Thank
great.
God.
That's
I
great.
cannot believe this. I thought there was 5 times more steps,
I did too.
and so did the trombone.
Never would have thought of that.
See, that's what you make up. You make that up in your
I know,
brain. That's
I know.
all made up, you know?
Well, you see the photographs of us standing, we were tiny kids, so everything looked bigger around us. Church, no air conditioning, hotter than Hades in the summer,
No kidding.
and loaded with people. There was, and everybody kind of sat the same place every time.
You know, Larry, an important story that I picked up yesterday or the day before at the gravesite, I forget from whom, but Fred used to date a girl, Fiore, and she lived right there.
Right across the street.
Right there in the corner.
First name was Fiore?
So he's
Last name.
Last name Fiore.
That's interesting.
Yeah, last name. It was Teresa was her first name.
In this crowded church, it would get so crowded on Sunday that people would be standing on the front steps. It was so crowded. And it was hotter in Hades because there was no air conditioning. And there was a lot of Jewish people, Italian people in the neighborhood.
Italian.
And there was one guy that you could see there was nobody sitting around him. And he'd be sitting in the same pew. And the reason is because he had so much garlic that when he was in there, he was sweating it and nobody was sitting next to him. It's true. Isn't that funny? Yeah, he didn't have any heart trouble.
He's still there.
Is that the
He's
church?
still there.
Yeah, he's still there.
He's petrified.
It's a proof of garlic. Because
Is that the church that you tried to burn the roof?
No, that's
Catch it on
back
fire?
at Carney's Point.
Tried to burn her.
No, not. No, we were putting the windows out. We weren't burning the roof.
Oh, okay.
he's you did that with
Tommy's
Presbyterians
and
and Catholics.
Catholics. The mortar fire. So John, what? Where? What?
Oh, okay. Well, I think you could probably, given our time, Larry, we ought to go, go on down all the way and then turn right.
On Main Street.
Yeah.
So we go by the sweet shop.
Well, unless you want to go down to the wharf, there's the story there.
Oh, the wharf is good.
We need to go to the wharf because that's Ferry and Wilson Line, both of those at one time, you see, and Bruce Willis.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Ooh, was he where Bruce Willis is from?
Sexy, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Where was his house?
In
Well,
here.
his father's house. We're going to pass his father's house.
Was he in Pensgrove or Carneys Point?
Pensgrove and Carney's Point. They're like me. We spend half our time in one and half the other. You know.
And don't you know that everybody, no matter where you're from, there's somebody famous from there.
Yeah.
Ours was Bruce Willis. And of course, everybody claims they know him. Wow.
I'm glad I don't.
What church is that? Boy, that thing is.
I'm just kidding. Turn left. Yep.
So where we're going right now, this Pennsgrove was the big town that we would go to. And back in the day, especially in the Depression and all that, there was a huge wharf out here, and there was a lot of trade coming up and down the river. And this was a major place for people to get off. So this is older than our community. And it's
6,000 people in this town.
6,000?
And 2,000 in Carney's Point.
Wow. I'm not going to mention that there was a girlfriend of mine that lived over there. Don't listen to me, Billy.
This is where Bruce's dad lived, over here on the left.
Bruce
that gray
Willis's
stone.
dad's house.
The stone house?
Wow. That was a nice house.
Does he still live there?
No, he died about 6 or 7 years ago, but Bruce bought it for him, and fixed it up and all that stuff. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
I can trust.
This used to be a booming commercial area. I mean, so booming that the cars were lined up as far as you could go outside of town in that direction.
Man, look at that.
Yeah.
With the bridge.
And the number of reasons for it is, and I think you need to get another perspective. Here's another perspective.
Listen up, guys.
Okay.
John having parked here.
You could go here, park anywhere.
Yeah, we just
Just pull straight up there, yeah. Think about this. The first east-west interstate highway, way before what we know of as I-5 or 95 and all those, the set of highways before then,
The U.S. highways.
U.S. highways, full, nonstop, full access from Atlantic City to San Francisco would come right through here where this bus is.
Really?
And of course, sure, that's what had. This was 40. Okay,
Really? Wow.
and this is where they would get on the ferry.
Yeah.
Okay, and cross. So, when I was a little boy, I would have a lemonade stand up that way because these were cars that were in long lines, and it was before air conditioning in cars.
And they needed
And they were waiting for the next ferry, and so I would have a little refreshment for them for a nickel, and so I got rich, But anyway, this was
spend it all.
Yeah, I spent it all. Sure I did.
Not to be competition, but we were competition because the highway that goes Shell Road went from New York to Washington, had to go that way and across the bridge. I mean, the ferry across down there, right?
Pennsville.
Yeah.
4th of July and stuff.
Well,
I sold Cokes, cold Cokes.
yeah, on Shell.
Yeah, on Shell Road.
On Shell Road. Well,
Yeah.
that's because the ferry stopped here and then went to Pennsville
Awesome.
when the bridges were made, when the
Yeah.
bridges were built, you see.
Yeah.
And so the traffic pattern shifted. But the interesting part is that if you were a big deal in this country back in the 30s and the 20s, and you were like fashionable and you would walk the boardwalk at Atlantic City, or you would stroll to Nob Hill in San Francisco, and you had some money and a car, it was a very cool thing to say that you drove across the country on Route 40. And you would come here, and the people would be dressed. And so in a building back there that's destroyed now, there was a haberdasher who made clothes, and made clothes for all the famous people that would come through. They had time to have that done sometimes when they were waiting. And they would go, and the lines were very, very long. So it was really a big deal back in the day. In addition to the fact that most of the people here worked at DuPont. So it was kind of like an affluent little enclave, relatively speaking, back in the day. Of course, since then, it's been downhill.
Way downhill.
Been way downhill.
Since they took the ferry boat
There-
out.
Well, part of that, yeah. That
You
hurt.
may or may not be able to see, but the wharf is straight ahead. They built
Yeah.
this park, but I think over time it keeps floating away.
Well, let's go on.
We have some
eventually,
old
yeah.
pictures.
Oh, and here's another point. I don't know whether that's interesting to you. You know that the wharf that's right out there, 10 feet from where you see the edge where the water is, that's Delaware. That's the state of Delaware.
Yeah.
Okay, the line with the guy with the compass way back, you know, William Penn, the whole thing. Okay, they drew the line, and at this point, it came close to the Jersey Shore. So you go out there. So there's a couple of really nice stories. One of them is that back after the Wilson line stopped and after the ferry stopped, the structure of the pier was still intact. And at the end of it, there was the house, the building that was used for whatever, you know, to support the boating. That would be taken over by local guys, and they would have gambling there. And they would do the cards and what they call the one-armed bandits, the slot machines of today.
Because it was in Delaware.
Because it was in Delaware, and the local cops couldn't get them. And yeah, that's what happened. They did that for years, and finally it went away.
So from
Right
here,
across
what?
the river, by the way, is Wilmington, Delaware. And
Yeah.
used to be able to take a ferry boat from here to Wilmington
Yep.
to go shopping.
And we did to the Wilmington Dry Goods. You remember, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And
you know,
Katie worked there.
we did. Okay.
She
Okay,
worked for Killer
so
Clouds.
around and come back this street.
Yeah, go back the same way. Yeah.
I remember that.
It's so sad when you see all these buildings and stuff just deteriorating.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun in this.
And this
neighborhood
part,
right here.
this stuff that was done, did Bruce Willis contribute to that?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
A little bit.
We got it back.
Like that house right there.
Yeah, put the money in,
Like,
put
look
it
at the
gold
top
back
of
in
that,
place.
you know, with like the wrought iron and stuff. Like that was probably. Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah,
It's
this
a shame that it's all like, you
Yeah.
know.
this was big times way back,
Way back.
and obviously not good times now.
Yeah.
The amount of crap that we rode there.
South shall rise again. South Jersey.
South Jersey.
Jim, did you used to go swimming at the pit?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
gravel? No, the gravel hole.
Gravel hole. Yeah.
Gravel hole.
All the time.
John says nobody goes there anymore at all.
Really?
Yeah,
Is it
it's
contaminated?
there.
Well, they have other things. People
Do
do
they
other
have
things.
ice
You know,
there?
back in the day, nobody had anything to do but stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they go do other things now.
Do they have ice? We used to go ice skating.
Ice
there.
skating there all the time, too.
And Leighton Lake.
It's
Yeah,
still a
like-
functional hotel?
Well, it's a flop house.
That's functional.
Yeah, I know the guy that owns it. He rents them back. You know, he rents rooms like by the night, week, and stuff like that.
By the
you know.
hour.
He would if.
Nurse. It was a Walgreens store or something like that, and the doctor that was the pharmacist encouraged her to go to Misericordia and get her nursing degree.
Yeah, that was the drugstore.
Cheeseman was. the guy
Cheeseman
that was the
drugstore.
drugstore.
Cheeseman,
Yeah,
Cheeseman,
Cheeseman.
yeah.
Yeah. It's sad to see all that stuff. Broken, busted.
Yeah.
So, Sweet Shop, no longer there. Best hamburgers in the world.
Yeah, and milkshakes.
Yeah.
We'd share a strawberry soda or something.
John, where's the place that your dad rented so that the younger kids had a place to go?
Down here, just another block or so down here.
John's father opened a place out of the goodness of his heart.
Right here.
It was like a soda shop for the kids who were too young to be at the Sweet Shop, so that they could come after school and have sodas and milkshakes
And dance.
Yeah.
How about that?
He didn't make any money, but he did it to give the kids a place to go.
That's pretty awesome.
That was his dad. Yeah.
Saturday
His
nights.
dad was a special guy.
Yeah.
And then another little tidbit.
I gotta tell you about.
And Jim's going to tell you what it is.
No, I got to tell you about the Sweet Shop. About 3 years ago, Teet and I decided that we were going to do a 40s thing because it was a USO variety show in Milton, Florida. And 100-year-old theater that we were going to do this variety show as one of the skits. So we decided, okay, we're going to do the 1940s Jitterbug. And so we did the sweet shop, and we walked in and sat down, and there was a big sign that said Pensgrove Sweet Shop. And nobody knew where Pensgrove was. But we decided, okay.
John Dunn's Park.
We were going to
We'll
wait
buy it
until
on
somebody put a nickel in the jukebox, because I didn't have another nickel, because I just spent it on that strawberry soda, and we had 2 straws. And people, the older folks recognized what that was all about, but young kids had no idea that you did that when you were a teenager. You share a soda with 2 straws.
Oh yeah.
And then you wait for somebody to put a nickel in the jukebox so you could dance.
Yep.
Oh, there's Joey. He's put a nickel in the jukebox. You want to dance?
Yep.
Yeah, let's dance. And that's what started the Jitterbug that we did for that show. It was
And that was the 40s, right?
Saturday night. What was the name of that song? Anybody know?
What was it called? What? Give me a word.
What was it?
Saturday night.
Give me a word. Give me some words.
Da 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 da.
Saturday night is the loneliest night of the year.
Saturday night is. No, that was not the one. It was another one.
that-
Jukebox Saturday.
Oh, the YMCA.
Jukebox Saturday night. Look that up on,
Yep.
on Google.
You'll be
You'll find it's a lot of
very
fun.
right,
Jukebox
correct.
Saturday
And
night.
you can
Get on that, kids.
pull over
Get on it.
slow. I don't know what's available. This is the YMCA,
Yeah.
which was really an awesome YMCA.
Yeah.
DuPont built it.
Yep.
So it's called, the only YMCA I ever heard had a commercial name is the DuPont YMCA. So many things going on there. A huge dance hall, gymnasium. In the gymnasium, Fred especially was with a group of guys that were really well built, and they would turn all the lights off in the gymnasium in some kind of gathering that was going on, and they would be covered with silver. So when the light came on, they would be like putting the flag up at Iwo Jima, the statues, yeah.
Oh.
And they turn the lights off, and then they would rearrange, and they would be
Oh, so
something else
cool.
famous.
We used to have
It's very cool.
circuses in that gymnasium
Oh, yeah.
also,
Yeah.
where you get a little tiny car, and about 15 people would come out of the car.
Shriners?
Okay, a Fred thing. His great buddy Bob Romansky was in charge of cutting the grass here.
Yeah.
Fred came over one day and stopped Bob when he was cutting the grass, and he says, "Look at this," and he held up his shoe and it had a hole in the bottom of the sole, and he said, "Let's go join the Navy." He and Bob and the other buddy Gene, from that moment, decided they were going to join the Navy together. They all joined the Navy. Isn't that funny?
Just
They're
because
right out
he
here
had a
in this
hole in
one.
his shoe?
They made it.
Yes.
Yeah, because then you could go get shoes, right? And clothes.
They give you shoes.
Yeah.
We all had holes in our shoes, and we put cardboard in them so we wouldn't, cut our feet on the pebbles.
Oh yeah. And to back up for just a second, there were 2 movie theaters in the little town we just left. Yeah, 2 of them, and they were a quarter. And that would be back in the day, where the headliner would be.
When I was a kid, they were 10 cents.
They were. There you go. My I had to pay a quarter.
But you
When I
Highway
paid,
robbery.
When I paid.
Yeah. I used to walk in backwards and say I was just leaving.
Yeah.
That's it. It's beautiful. I love it. Jukebox Saturday night.
Yep.
Okay, pull over right here. This is Dunn's Park, and I gotta give a little hooray to John. John and I both grew up here, and I moved to Dallas, and later on John came to Dallas after going to college in the Carolinas. John returned here and got into business. He owned this little store right down the street from our house. But John decided he was going to run for mayor of our little town of Carneys Point. And it was Democrat, Republican stuff. He ran as an independent. And this park, this is Dunn's Park, where we grew up, and we had tons of fun here. It was really great. You see that gazebo over there? And there's the fountain. So you can barely see the fountain,
Yeah.
the white fountain.
Yeah.
Okay. When we were growing up, there were fish in the fountain. This thing deteriorated and went to crap, and he ran. His theme was return the goldfish to Dunn's Park, and he won. He was mayor.
Good job.
It was really cool. And one of the things that he did is that the kids that were the bad kids would get in trouble. They would break things, do things, and he had an arrangement with the police. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. He would have an arrangement with the police, and they'd bring him over to John as mayor, and he would put them to work in the park fixing things. So guess what? After they spent all their time and effort fixing things, they protected it.
Yep.
So there's no more bad stuff
I
going
haven't
on.
touched that in 25 years.
It's great.
It looks good. It looks good.
Thank
But it
you,
looks
John.
good,
The
right?
park is great.
Thank
Yes.
you, John.
Yeah,
Beautiful
yeah,
park.
yeah.
So the local community uses this a lot now.
Yeah. Married there and all that stuff.
Huh? Are there goldfish now? Probably not.
I don't know. I haven't been in there in a while.
We'll check it out tomorrow.
You already did your duty, right?
Right.
Yeah, check
You
it
know,
out.
those same little kids
Send
with
us an
fish.
email. Tell us what. Send us all an email and let us know if they're goldfish.
So John, what do we need to see?
I don't know. What time is it? I think we should be going back.
Yeah, okay.
Only because...
Anybody hungry?
Yeah.
Yeah.